welcome to Cover Story. Well, this week we shall be discussing the impact of implementation and also the process. We'll also try and answer some of the most frequently asked questions. For that, I have with me a panel of experts. I have Mr. Vinod Jain, Chartered Accountant. We have Mr. C.M. Vasudev, former Finance Secretary, and Bejon Misra, consumer activist. Mr. Misra, I'll begin with you. If you can, what are the frequently asked questions or the troubles the consumers are facing, apart from, of course, the long lines?
The first question, anybody is asking is, will I get into a comfort zone after this? Would my, filing of returns or my legalized transactions would entail in terms of enabling me to become a very disciplined citizen? The whole, now the issue is coming is that with all this exercise which one is doing in terms of curbing black money or curbing corruption and things like that, what is going to happen? I mean, is it really going to happen, or is it going to just be a facade, or is just be one of those, which earlier also many people experimented but miserably failed and it never took off?
Okay, I'll ask Mr. Vasudev this. Do you expect anything concrete to come out of this, or will it just all this a facade?
Well, it's obviously a very momentous decision, no question. Bold decision also, but a decision which involves, say, taking out of circulation almost 14 lakh crores of currency notes, 501,000. It's a big job, and it cannot be painless, that is for sure. People have to go through the pain of exchanging their currency notes with new currency notes, and that is what is currently going on. But the issue, I think, is twofold. One is whether there was ways to see that this pain could have been alleviated a bit. The implementation arrangements could have been somewhat better designed, that the pain which the common man is bearing could have been little less. Second is, people are suffering this pain, I think, with the hope that something good will come out of it. That is where the big risk, I think, for the government is. If that benefit does not materialize and people start getting this feeling that we had to go through all this pain, and what came out of it? The benefits in terms of squeezing out counterfeit notes, quite self-evident. I think there is no issue in that. The benefits in terms of squeezing or putting a cap on terror financing also I think is clear. But the third one, which is being touted the most, about the black money being eradicated, I think the system will test. It has nothing to do with the implementation arrangements now. It has a lot to do with what the government will do with the data which will be generated when the people deposit.
The hard ticket reforms.
No. That's the second. That's the next point. But what they will do with this data, because income tax department today also has a lot of data. They got data on property sales, data on foreign travel, data on this investment, this, that. But obviously they are not able to make good use of that data to really get to the bottom of black money. Now it is the same machinery which is going to deal with this data. So to what extent their efficiency levels and other sort of levels will go up, that would really determine.
I'll bring Mr. Jain in this. Could you help us? I'll just get in the
Sure.
Yeah. I see very, very positive impact of this entire exercise which is happening. On the one hand, the entire money which was out of the system, about 14 lakh crore, as sir said, will come into the system. If I multiply by M3 of 10, that means this become 1,40,000 lakh crores. Maybe 1.5 lakh crore it will happen because of M3 multiplier. That means it will change at least 10 hands in future. So that will be a very, very big inflow into the economy, I see. And I see interest rate nosediving, as I said on my last show, also by about 300 basis point. The inflation, of course, will get a big dip in next few months, if you see, because of money not being there in circulation.
GDP will go up.
And GDP is, of course, you see, our real GDP is about 3 times of what GDP is known to the government. That we are all aware that about 2/3 of the GDP is happening off the record.
Correct.
All that will come into the record, hopefully, but all that may not come. But at least 10-15% increase.
The GDP in the short term will come down.
See, I believe that at the end of the day, the consumer, because I, represent that, cluster.
Yes.
The consumer will get realistic pricing. See, what was happening earlier, because of the wrong systems in place, lot of burden was coming onto the consumer, which was unaccounted for, which
So
was not productive.
I was actually coming on that only because, for example, we see real estate prices.
Correct. It will come down.
Real estate prices, I expect it will come down from 10% to 50% down. Maybe 10% to 50% is my calculation, depending on if it is a 40-50,000 rupees a square feet villa, it will come down to maybe about 20,000
Yes,
rupees, 25,000
yes.
rupees a
I
square
agree with
feet.
you.
About 50% down there. But somebody who owns only 3,000 rupees square feet villa or 4,000 rupees square feet villa, unko, I think they don't have to worry because their downfall is going to be only maybe 10% or 15% outside. But this is not going to happen only on properties.
Which are the sectors?
The gold prices are going to go down very significantly. I see it may touch about 24,000
No, even
rupees.
food, even
food prices will go down.
Yeah, even food. You see, because
I
what
think
is what's
essential
happening-
items, sir, I don't feel that there
And
is
what
going
about
to
the
be
grey
much change.
market, the Chinese imports? Can we curb that? Will it have impact? One of my people on Twitter have asked me to ask you this actually.
You see, Chinese import, the major issue has been primarily under-invoicing, over-invoicing issues. I think that will be significantly cut, at least for the time being. Because I see, sir, Vasudev sir was making a very important point that we have a lot of data in the tax department. Whether we are going to have more data, how we are going to really do about this, whether tax department will become very efficient.
No, the only issue there is, let me tell you, because we are all victims because we go overseas very often. We always use credit card. You know, people who are actually using money in the rightful manner, if they get into the scanner, then it becomes a nuisance for us. You
No,
see?
I agree
So
with
what I
Yes.
want to tell, the policy makers and the people who are watching the show, who are in the helm of affairs in the country, is that please, for heaven's sake, identify the real culprits. Don't harass a person who genuinely is doing everything in a very official manner.
Sir, in fact, I was coming to that only because when I referred to his data, what was happening so far is that data is there, and without actually examining it, they will actually send letters to everybody who spent more than 2 lakh on credit card,
Correct.
more than 10 lakh deposit in cash. This was happening. I think this data needs to be converted into information. The intelligent information, because 2, 3, 4 data of the same person need to be matched together and then only analyze and then I think go after it.
Absolutely credible info. You see,
But
like
how
what-
will that work out? Because that was his
Who
fear
will
also.
do it? It's the same machinery.
No,
Will
I,
the salary-
no, but no,
will there-
there are mechanisms.
because I am privy to a lot of discussion in this regard, and I feel the government is very seriously working on this. A lot of good brains are working around it. This move of Mr. Modi is not without proper planning, I must assure you, because the manner in which they
I
have
agree.
structured
I
4,000
also
rupees, 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, and so immediate decisions they are taking. Like this decision to put ink. It was only in 1 hour of this
But
decision
they're
was taken.
reacting to circumstances.
Well,
the
that
ink
is,
was a reaction.
No, that
to
was
the
an
fact
additional
that-
reaction. That was
हाँ.
additional reaction. That is bound to happen. You need to refocus yourself.
Correct, हाँ.
Sir, आपको change तो करना ही पड़ता है ना अपने आप को.
देखिए,
अच्छा,
you
let
don't
me ask you
anticipate.
let me ask you a related question.
Yes, sir.
Today people say as the numbers are 14 lakh crores of currency.
Yes, sir.
notes. Now, if at the end of the 31st December,
Yes, sir.
the number of notes deposited in the banking sector as a whole is say 20 lakh crores, what does it mean? What will it mean? That is the real test, no? Ultimately, you have got a number of 14 lakh crores. Now, if people are being asked to unearth their cash and black money and all and put it in the banks in whatever form they want, and that 14 lakh crores becomes 20 lakh crores, what does it mean?
No, sir, I
Does
think-
it
I
mean
think-
that much is the black money which has been brought into
No,
the
no, I don't
regular
know.
economy?
No, sir, ultimately,
or does
it
it
is-
mean that people who had cash, who are not using the banking system, they are putting that cash now into the bank? So what is the test at the end of 31st December, whether this scheme has been successful or not? What are the indicators of that?
No, I think my view as a chartered accountant only I can give you, because this 14 lakh crore is a number I don't know from where it
Yes.
has come.
No,
That's
it
right.
is
I
RBI
was
number.
going to
It's
come
an
to that.
RBI number.
I was just going to come
Sir,
to that.
we-
Because
no,
No,
RBI
no,
is not
that you can
hypothetical.
take it. It's RBI number.
So
They
let,
know.
let me complete myself. So this 14 lakh crore number, if it is coming from RBI, so total deposit cannot be more than 14 lakh crore. Because you can deposit only the money which is there. You cannot create, print notes in Pakistan and deposit in
It's
Indian
not
bank.
bank.
That is not possible.
It is 14 lakh crores in circulation.
No,
of
not
this
circulation,
currency.
sir. Not
This
circulation.
currency.
Whatever they have issued, sir.
Yeah, that's
The
what I'm
notes
saying.
issued by
That is
them.
Reserve Bank.
How can note issued by Reserve Bank? The deposit cannot be more.
Correct.
And I think if out of 14 lakh crore, suppose 14 lakh crore itself comes or maybe 13
is
lakh
doubtful.
50,000 crores comes.
Which is doubtful.
No, I have no doubt on this. I think my feeling
No,
is
14
that
lakhs wouldn't come.
sir, entire money
In
will
some
come.
shape
You
or form.
think so?
No,
I think entire money will
because
come.
Already
And
we
he'll
are-
tell you how to get that entire money.
Already I'm
but
seeing
Mr.
lot
I'm
of-
not going to
But
go
Mr.
on.
Jain, in the
already
first
I'm
5
seeing
days, said
lot
3
of
lakh crores
currency
have come in.
notes
In
being
first
burned
5 days, the
and,
number was 3 lakh
floating on the
crores.
rivers.
But those
So
are the
I
extra
don't know
notes.
whether the currency
So
notes
that
will all
floating
come
on
back.
rivers and burning are all dramas. I
So
don't
I
think
don't know.
people like us rely on this.
I don't know.
Ultimately, Indians are Indians. They will not waste even a single penny.
Correct.
They will be very happy to
But
pay tax to the
I-
government,
Indians-
but they will not throw away.
But Indians
Yeah.
are prone to panic. I have seen that.
So panic is over now. 1 week is over,
No,
panic
but
is over.
Mr. Jain, what is your
But now-
just to understand?
Yes, sir.
At the end of 31st December, when you got all the numbers,
Yes, sir.
what is the way to sort of come to some preliminary sort of understanding whether it has been worthwhile or not? Is there some way? Is there some indicator?
I think an indicator, as I see, is suppose the government get 3.5 lakh crore as taxes.
Okay.
I think that itself is an indicator that a lot of people have paid tax and their money has this been voluntarily disclosed to the government.
Extra tax.
As extra tax. 3.5 lakh extra tax crore comes. That is my estimate it will come.
Then the
much.
deficit finance.
Deficit financing will go down substantially, and I think this is a all positive signal for the government as well as for everybody.
Okay, what's in it for the average person who is, maybe has saved some money? Will they get a tax break later?
Yes.
Is that the
You
next
see,
thing
we
to
are
look
also
forward to?
expecting. We are
Yeah,
also
are you expecting a less tax
Yeah,
bracket?
I'm expecting that government will now rationalize in terms of the taxation slabs, and they will bring in lower. They will lower the slabs. You see, so that everybody feels that I have got something out of this exercise.
Sir, Vasudev Sahab has said one very
Exactly.
important thing.
Which is?
He said what is going to happen after 31st December is very important.
Very critical. Very
So I feel personally, just to support his point, what is important is to reduce tax rates substantially.
Yes.
I think 20% should be the maximum corporate tax and individual tax rate,
Exactly.
because that is the tax rate worldwide.
Yes.
Barring one or two economies like US, etc. All of the economies in the world don't charge more than 20%.
That's right.
We charge 33% as corporate tax plus 20% as dividend distribution tax. Our tax rates is highest in the world.
And the chartered accountants should be charging less fees
That-
for submitting our returns. Please, for heaven's sake,
No, okay,
bring
that
down
point
your
is-
fees. back.
Vasudev, one more question. There is also
Because you see, what is happening is, I was
he's a
asking,
consumer activist. He's fighting
see,
for
I was
us.
asking the common people. I was asking the common people. आप अपना टैक्स रिटर्न भरते हो? बोले नहीं सर, नहीं भरते हैं. So I said, why don't you? बोला हमारा नाम हमको मालूम ही नहीं how to do it.
No,
Now
okay.
government
That's
has
a
done it.
thought
So
I want to give
But
here.
that is-
I want to leave a thought here.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You know, we are I think what you're saying is quite right. That if government's tax revenues become so buoyant and robust because of so much more income being declared, and that will lead to reduction in taxes and all that. So fine, the taxpayers, which are about 5% or so, maybe, and with this maybe the number of taxpayers also will go up because a lot of, but still they will get benefit. What about the people, the ordinary person who is not a taxpayer, who stood in the line for hours and days, daily wagers and
I will
rural
come to that.
population?
I will come
no,
to
just
that
I'm
also.
giving a thought. I don't know
No, no,
that
I'll tell you.
whether it is possible that government can consider that out of the extra revenues that they will get out of the system, whether some amounts can be deposited in the Jan Dhan accounts
Very
of these
good
poor
suggestion.
people.
Very good
Jan
suggestion.
Dhan
That's-
accounts of these poor people.
Right.
As government during election had said that foreign money will be deposited, at least this is an opportunity. No, it is an opportunity to redeem. No, it is an opportunity to redeem that pledge to some extent, that if you got
15
so
lakh
much,
nahi, but
if
at least some
you
amount
are
also.
flushed
Yeah.
with so
You
much
see,
money,
when our
in all
honorable-
these Jan Dhan accounts, why don't you put in 10,000 each?
Yeah.
Great.
It is just a thought I want to leave for people to consider.
See, our honorable Prime Minister, when he did the election campaign, which got him the majority and he is come to power, his whole election campaign was
On that.
that I would curb black money, I'll bring in a good governance, I'll bring in development. Now, with this extra money which the government will come, what we are expecting as a social
Yeah,
activity.
we can say that it should reduce to lead to reduction of taxes. Fine for taxpayers.
No.
What about the others? I'm
I'm
saying
looking
let
at
them
That's what he's
also.
saying.
I'm looking at a lot of welfare activities. Like for example, I'm looking at earlier there was a Rashtriya Swasth Bima Yojana only for BPL. Say for example, 30,000 rupees coverage. Already the government has made it 1 lakh. Now we are looking at government also saying.
But these yojanas, we
are
the implementation. It's better you put some money straight into the account. Exactly.
So I'm coming to that only. I'm coming to
Let
that
him complete. I'll make
You
my
see,
point.
I'm coming to that only. You see, the whole right from the time Modi ji came, his 1 point program was how do I get everybody into the digital world. Number one. So वो हो गया नहीं 28,000 crore बैंक account खुला, but सबके पास अभी भी बैंक account नहीं है. His bottom line is everybody must have a bank account. That's his bottom line, and he really wants that. What I can feel, because it's not 15 lakh account में जमा करना. That was he gave a kind of a description that हम यदि power में आएगा आपको हम benefits देंगे.
No, bank account is fine, but the issue is how much money is in that account.
Exactly.
Having an
We're
account
going
is
to
fine.
continue this discussion, but after a short break, and then I'm going to go back to Mr. Vinod Jain and ask him his views on this. But stay with us. Welcome back to Cover Story. This week, of course, we're discussing the implementations of the demonetization scheme announced by Prime Minister Modi. Before this, the break, Mr. Jain, we were discussing, Mr. Vasudev had a very good suggestion that should the Prime Minister put at least some amount of money, 10,000 or whatever, in every Jan Dhan account.
No, I think that's a good idea, but I don't think government will be able to differentiate between people to people. No, let me say my view. Let me say my view. I am giving an alternative view.
BPL lists are available, no? Below poverty line lists are available.
I have an alternative view. It is very important to ensure that the black money doesn't erupt again.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I will like to address that issue by suggesting to the government to consider that the GST rate which they are proposing should be considerably reduced as compared to what they're planning now. If the GST rate is lower, then you can say the lure to actually deal outside the books will go down very substantially. If you are talking of 28% or 24% or these kind or 18% rates, there is bound to be some kind of a lure somewhere to do a large number of transactions outside the books, whatever one may do. So if this rate is reduced substantially, once I said, of course, the income tax rate, that is where the common man will get the benefit.
But why doesn't he do away with income tax? That has also been suggested by Subramanian Swamy.
That is very difficult.
That's not on the table. It shouldn't be. Any form of taxation must be progressive, which means that more you earn, the more you tax you pay. But all this VAT and service tax and all, they are regressive forms. Because whether a rich man pays or the poor man pays, he pays the same tax.
Everybody pays same.
So you have to move towards a regime which is more progressive, more and more income tax, and do away with the indirect taxes. That is the way to go.
You see, like I would always cajole the government to ensure that the minimum salary should increase. The levels.
That is done.
You see, they
have done already.
No, but they should look at
minimum is already substantially increased.
But they should do more. What I'm trying to say is that today a common man, even today, is not getting the kind of salary which they deserve.
I just want to add 2 points which Mr. Jain is very well, I think, just to supplement you. The GST point is very, the point that he's making, that for the black money to be really dealt with, apart from this scheme which you are doing now, which is a very good scheme, you have to do other steps. GST is one, the Benami transaction laws which he's talking about is the other one. Electoral funding is a big one. If they can do something on that, that is a big one. And also the real estate regulator, because a lot of black money sources for spending and generation is in real estate and spending through the electoral laws. Unless this is supplemented by changes in these areas, the full impact on containing black money will not be there.
Okay, Mr. Jain, I have sorry just to take away the topic, but last time on my show, you made a point and a lot of people have questioned it. So I would like to ask you to explain that. My question is, we had a show last week and Mr. Jain actually made a point about he was given a case study of a woman who has sold her property. And obviously, there was an element of black money involved. So what does she do with that? How, because she is stuck, she has no choice. That's the only way transactions take place.
I think last time, you remember
and you had suggested
the story which was given by the other person who was there with the show,
Gurcharan Das.
Gurcharan Das ji. You know what he said? This lady has sold this flat recently, maybe last week or 2 weeks ago.
In this financial year.
This financial year. That means she has about 40-45 lakhs money which she has received off the books. So this is her income of current year, whether she has received it formally or informally. I had suggested that she can go ahead and deposit this money in the bank account and declare this as current year income. Now the question somebody may raise it that this will raise eyebrows on the person who has paid it. The person who has paid it will possibly deny this. But that
The
does
buyer,
not,
the-
The seller. The seller.
No, the one who gave her the back money.
The buyer who gave the money.
The buyer who
The
gave
buyer who gave the money may deny this, but that does not affect this lady, because this lady doesn't get affected because she is paid full taxes on that money. One more thing I like to add here, still, that is a technical issue which we are examining, whether she can reinvest this money into a new flat and get the benefit of Section 54F and
Capital
don't pay any
gains.
taxes, also capital gain exemption. So that is the issue which is a technical issue that I think we don't want to really get into.
The short point is that today the income tax laws do not require the declarer of income the source of income. If you, as he's saying, if you want 50 lakhs and you want to pay tax on it, the tax department cannot ask you from where you have got it.
Is that correct?
Yes,
It's
that's
current
right.
law.
Section,
But there is some talk
278,
going on.
am I
There
right?
is some talk going on to give this provision also in the law, where the tax people can ask for that information about the source of income.
So I'll only like to correct this a little bit. Suppose this money is a corruption money or a drug money or an arms money or anti-national money, then there is no bar on the government to take care of prevention. Money laundering law is there, very severe.
Suspicious
We
transactions
have
can
FEMA
always
law
be.
which is very serious.
Yeah,
People are
correct.
trying to buy and sell dollars.
Yeah.
Let them beware. Minimum 7 years imprisonment they are talking about.
Yeah,
Correct.
but the world over, the thing is that the response of governments to lax enforcement of existing laws is to enact more and more stringent laws. To giving more powers to these authorities, the chances
not
of
good, yeah.
misuse, not a good thing.
Because
It
then-
will affect the common man much more. The
Yes.
honest person will, the honest person will feel it. The real fellow.
So,
this our system of
only way
giving more powers for.
I can come to what I have been able to understand by looking at what goes on in developed countries and how we can adopt some of those good practices is that you have to make all data very transparent, very open. Anybody should be able to check in terms of where the files are moving, how they are moving, is there any delay, is there any kind of a mechanism being built to take that corrupt money, or as we call the speed money. So all that needs to become very transparent and accountable and very stringent law. They should bring in changes. Now it is time to bring those reforms.
I don't know,
agree.
stringent
agree with
laws,
this. I don't
because you have to
agree
look
with
at
this,
the
sir.
enforcers
The laws
also.
are already
Yeah.
very stringent.
Stringent
We
laws-
need to actually structure them properly.
Stringent laws
Stringent
are
law for the
response to
culprits
lax
who are,
enforcement.
I'm saying
सर कल्प्रिट छूट के चले जाते हैं आम
नहीं
आदमी
तो
को
इसलिए नहीं
Exactly, culprit was sitting in London.
इसलिए तो हम बोल रहे हैं कि वो नहीं होनी चाहिए
No,
मतलब
you
हम ये
should-
कह
you
रहे
need
हैं
to
कि
reduce
जैसे
the interface.
जो हो रहा है you see
I
लोग
agree.
see participation of citizens
Sir,
is
one
very
major
important.
thing I want to bring to your notice, Prime Minister has taken this decision, announced already last time, that this year the scrutiny of tax department is going to be faceless.
Correct.
That means
That's the
every
way to go.
scrutiny is going to have electronically.
Correct.
That's
So
the way
the
to go.
idea to do corruption from both sides goes away.
Correct.
Harassment also goes away in
That's
that
right.
process.
Quite
And when next year it is going to be implemented all across the country, 100% people, I think that will reduce the corruption very significantly, and the chances of to cover that black money by the people who are covering it right now will also go down substantially.
So I'm
Okay,
saying the
so-
same thing. I'm saying the same thing. Bring in these reforms, technology enablers. But if anybody is caught doing something mischievous, the signal should be so deterrent that nobody dares to do
But
it.
you
that
have
is-
a case
that
in
is-
point. You have
You see-
someone sitting in London. You let him get
Stringent
away.
laws.
No,
He
that
is
is
the
where I
pillar
have a little
point.
difference of opinion with you. In the name of trying to nab those people, the common man
Yes.
is harassed by the bureaucracy.
That is what
He is right.
The
No,
corruption,
I
you want to
agree.
take it away.
But I'm looking at a different.
Only
working
exceptional
model.
people should
If
be
everyone
looking at
agrees, then I
different
think this is a good point to end on, because I'm sorry, we're totally out of time. But as you can see, this is a topic we are going to keep on discussing, because people have a lot of questions and we do have a whole panel of experts here to answer that. So stay with us. Next week again, we probably will be discussing this, but that's all from now.